Hey, and welcome to step 2.5 of the Standout Courses That Sell system, in which we're going to discuss upsells. So we briefly touched upon upsells in the previous videos in this step, but because of how important they are and how vital they are to your success and how much they're going to impact your scalability, I want to explain them to you in detail in this specific video. So let's go into the details. Before I give you specific examples of upsells and what they would look like in practice, I want to address a common misconception that's been around in our industry, which is that when it comes to selling courses, you need to withhold certain information from your main course because you're not going to have anything to upsell to the customer later. That advice is completely wrong, and in fact, it will upset your customers and create a bad experience for them, and it will cause you headaches. There is a better approach, which I'm going to explain to you in a little bit, but I want to talk to you about that first and give an example of why that's wrong. So let's say, as an example, that I sold you an online course showing how to build 2 pounds of muscle in a month without any gym. And then when you got to my upsell page, I told you that actually, in order to achieve that goal, you're going to have to do all of these other additional exercises. You're actually going to have to go to the gym. You can't just work out at home, and you're going to have to count your macros and eat really specific foods. Otherwise, it's not going to be possible. So even though the upsell is going to help me reach the outcome that I want, I'm gonna be pretty frustrated, and I'm sure that you would too, because it's basically like the customer was misled on the original page, and when they got to the upsell, they realized that, hey, like, what I bought was not actually good enough. Like, it's not what I expected, right? So it's the same as if you were to go to Amazon and order something, and then the thing comes in the mail and it's totally different, right? You would be frustrated and you would report it, like you would want your money back, right? Same in this example. Because of this exact reason, you never want to make people feel that what they got from you in the main course is not good enough or that it's an incomplete product. That doesn't mean that you can't sell additional things that are going to help the customer. You definitely can, and you should sell additional things that are going to help them, but those additional things cannot be information that's missing from the main course, and that's key to getting the result that they want, right? So there's a couple of approaches they can use in order to create your upsells, but you need to work out your main course in a way and upsells in a way that is ethical and gives your customers a great customer experience. So with that said, let's go into what to actually upsell. So there are four main types of upsells that you can use when selling online courses. The first type is to give the customer a product that's going to allow them to get an even bigger result than with the main course. So for example, if your main course is about getting 100 sales, then the upsell is about getting 1,000. If the front end product is about getting fit, then it's going to be about becoming even fitter. It's like if someone's first step is losing weight, then the second step could be becoming more like an athletic person, right? If it's about becoming stronger, then it could be about becoming even stronger. So like, for example, competing in some sort of heavy lifting competitions, right? If it's about learning how to play the guitar, then the upsell could be learning to play 10 more songs. Like, for example, let's say you teach 5 in your main course, the upsell teaches them 10 more, right? That's the first type, get an even bigger result. The second type is get the result faster. This is a really powerful type of upsell that works really well because people are always going to want to get results faster, have things done for them, or have things more easily. So as an example, if your main course teaches a 4-step sales closing system, then in the upsell, you could offer industry-specific sales scripts, cold email templates, text message templates, or cold call scripts that follow best practices from your main course. And because the customer wouldn't have to create the templates themselves, they wouldn't have to come up with everything with the structure themselves, they could make money faster, right? They would get the result faster. In the second example, let's say that your course shows people how to make money selling their art online. So in the upsell, you would sell a ready-made store, like an Etsy store, a Shopify store, anything else. I'm not an expert when it comes to selling art, but basically anything that your customers could use to sell their art. And because they don't have to create the store themselves, they could make money faster, right? So get the result upsell is going to be, I think it's easiest to implement in the money market. There's ways that you can do this in other markets too. So like for example, if you were to teach music production, right, then in the upsell you could offer song templates, like ready song templates that they can use to build to create music faster, right? Next type of upsell is done for you. This is only possible where you can actually get the work done for the customer. So for example, when it comes to fitness, as much as I would like to, it's not possible to do the work for the customer. Yes, you can tell them what workouts to do, what to eat and all that stuff, but ultimately you can't work out for them. Like you can't get into their body and go to the gym or eat specific foods. That's just not possible, or maybe not possible yet. But an example would be that, you know, if your main course teaches a new client acquisition technique, then in the upsell you offer to implement it for the customer and to get them like a specific number of clients. Or if your main course teaches how to make money online by selling high-ticket e-commerce products, then in the upsell you can offer to create a store or sell an existing store that will make them a specific amount of money and that has your entire system implemented. So they're getting the thing done for them. This is also a little bit similar to getting the result faster because they don't have to follow the system themselves. They're getting something done for them. So this is possible. The done for you type of upsell is possible whenever the customer doesn't have to be the person to do the work. So in most cases, it's not going to work in health and it's not going to work in relationships. The next type of upsell is solving the next problem that your customer is going to have. So in many cases, when people buy your main course, there is going to be something that they have to do next that is going to, well, they're going to have to figure out how to do that, right? So you kind of have to like think about what the next step is going to be and figure out a solution for it. So a very down-to-earth example, if you buy a coffee machine, then the next problem that you're going to have is that you're going to have to buy coffee beans, you're going to have to buy a decalcifier, maybe a water filter, and you're going to have the machine serviced every few years, right? If you buy a car and it's not an electric car, then you will have to have the oil change, you're going to need insurance, you're going to need tires, you're going to need your brakes changed, you're going to need all of these other things that owning a car comes with. So just like in these examples, the purchase of your course is going to create a future need for other solutions, right? The customer may have to create a website, they may have to create their own workout plan, they may have to calculate their macros, they may have to figure out how to ask for a promotion. Figure out what your customer's future need is going to be, create the solution for that need, and sell it in your upsell. How many upsells should you have? That's a very good question that I want to go over with you now. I always recommend that you have 2 upsells and 1 to 2 downsells. You don't have to start in the beginning. You don't have to start with 2 upsells. You can just start with 1 and create the second upsell, for example, a month or 2 months after you launch your course. But ideally, you would want to have 2 upsells and 1 or 2 downsells. It's really easy to create 2 upsell products if you go with the solving the next problem approach. And your downsell is basically just going to be a page that you send the customer to if they decline your upsell. So for example, if I were to upsell those sales scripts, right? If I click no, if I don't want to get them, then I could be sent to a page that acknowledges the fact that I just clicked the no thanks link, and then acknowledges that the reason I clicked the no thanks link was probably the price, and then you can offer the customer the same course as in the upsell that they just declined, but at a discount. So an example of what all of this would look like in practice when implemented would be like this. Let me take a pointer here, and hopefully you can see it on the screen. So initially we're going to sell, this is going to be the main course together with the order bump. When the customer purchases, we will send them to upsell 1, and then depending on whether they click no or whether they click yes, we will either send them to upsell 2, right? So if they say yes to upsell 1, we take them to upsell 2. If they say no to upsell 1, we take them to the downsell. And in the downsell, as I mentioned to you in the previous slide, we're basically going to tell them, hey, you just clicked the no thanks link. It's probably because of the price. So like, we don't want the price to get in the way of you being able to achieve the, in order to get in the way of you being able to implement the system faster or to get the result faster. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you the ability to have the downsell, have the same product at a discount. And then if they say yes to the downsell, right? If they click yes, then we send them to upsell 2. So this is exactly the same product as here. So this and this is exactly the same. If they click no, we also send them to the second upsell. And then regardless of what they do, we're going to send them to the thank you page. Now let's go the yes route. So if they click yes on upsell 1, we send them to upsell 2. And then if they click yes, we send them to the thank you page. And in that case, someone would have bought everything they had to offer. If they click no, then we're going to send them to downsell 2. And we're going to tell them, hey, you just click the no thanks link. Here's what we can do for you. Here's, how you can get the same product in the upsell at a discount. So in that case, there would be, in all of these cases, I only have one downsell, right? So they're only going to get one downsell. If they were to decline upsell 2 here, in this example, I would not send them to a downsell. The reason for that is because typically the take rate on the second downsell is going to be rather low and it's going to bring marginal financial gains. You can test it for sure, and I would recommend that you test it, because when it comes to digital marketing, testing it is the best approach. But when it comes to like what I've seen in my experience, then typically the second downsell converts very little. So you could totally leave it out. Let's talk about upsell pricing strategy and why upsells work. So your first upsell is always going to be the biggest contributor to your average order value. Like what does it mean that it's going to be the biggest contributor? So basically, if you're selling a $27 course on the, like, that's how you price your main course. It's $27, right? Then if you were to only sell your front-end course, then obviously your average order value would be $27 because you can't buy anything else. Now, when you add an order bump to it on the checkout page, let's say the order bump, for the sake of simplicity here, let's say that the order bump is $20, and let's say that 20% of people who purchase, they also take the order bump. So then the order bump would add $4 in average order value to the initial order value of 27, right? So it's 27 plus 20 times 20%, which is $4. So that would increase our average order value to $31. And because the first upsell is always, like, the reason it's called an upsell is because we're going to sell something that is more expensive than the main course. Then if someone were to say yes to the first upsell, it's going to give you the highest contribution, so the highest increase in your average order value. So let's say you had a $100 upsell. Again, I'm going to round it to 100, not 97 or 99 for the sake of simplicity. Let's say you had a $100 upsell and you had a 20% take rate on the upsell. That would give you a $20 boost in average order value. That's a pretty significant increase, right? So in other words, you're going to make most of your money from the first upsell, and that's going to be especially important if you're going to use paid traffic to promote your course. Now, why does this work? Because the moment someone buys from you, their buying intent is going to be the highest immediately after the purchase is made. So then instead of sending the person to the order confirmation page, we're going to send them to an upsell page. And as I mentioned, the price of the upsell is always going to be higher than the price of your main course. It's typically going to be 2 to 5 times more expensive. I personally typically price upsells at around 2.5 to 3 times the price of the main course, and there are a few exceptions to that. For example, and specifically, if you are in the make money market, then your first upsell can even be 10 to 20 times the price of your main course. It all depends on the value that you offer in the upsell. So for example, if I offered to build, if I sold a system that allows artists to sell their art online, right? If I were to sell a ready store, like I wouldn't sell it for, if the main course was 27, that I wouldn't sell a ready-made store for 97. I would probably charge like 500 or 1,000 or maybe even more than that, right? So you have to the pricing is going to be dependent on the value that you provide. And the reason it works this way in the make money market is because it's easier for people to justify spending more money with you because they can use whatever you're selling to make more money, and the math just works out in their head, right? In other markets, such as health, relationships, and all of the other ones that we've talked about, this ratio is going to be more in the 2 to 5x range. But this is something that I would recommend that you test. Initially, you can go for 2.5 to 3 times the price of your main upsell, and then you can see if you can increase the price. So again, in the first upsell, I recommend that you start with a price point of about 2.5 to 3x the price of your main course. And the great thing about selling courses online or selling anything online is they can always test your prices and make informed decisions based on data to see what price actually brings in most revenue. For the second downsell, I typically price it around the same price as the first downsell. So for example, if my first upsell was 97 and then my downsell was 47, then for the second upsell, I would probably do 47 again. And as far as downsell pricing goes, because we're selling online courses, we have a very high degree of flexibility when it comes to pricing. My recommendation is that you discount 30 to 50% in downsells. So for example, if you had a $97 upsell, then your downsell can be 67, 57, or even 47. In order to start, you can go with whatever feels best for you and test your prices later, determine what converts best. Again, you can test everything in digital marketing. What conversion rates can you expect on your upsells? I wanted to address that as well because you might be wondering, okay, if I do that $97 upsell, how many people are actually going to buy it? How do you figure it out? So I came up with a couple of benchmarks based on my experience and based on data that I've had, that I've seen in online courses so far. So with upsell 1, a good conversion rate would be between 20 to 30%. If your price point is around 2.5 to 3x the price of your main course. So for example, if you have that a $37 course, for example, and your upsell is 97, then if you sold 100 copies of the main course and 20 to 30 of these people bought your first upsell, that's good. When it comes to the downsell, to the first downsell, a good conversion rate would be about 60 to 70% of the conversion rate of upsell 1 if you're discounting 40 to 50%. So again, if you had 100 people buy your main course and 15 to 20 of these people bought your first downsell, that's great. In upsell 2, a good result would be converting between 15 to 25% of all of the people who bought your first upsell and your first downsell. So again, if you sold 100 copies of your main course and 20 people bought your first upsell and 15 bought your your first downsell, so you had 35 people in total buy upsell 1 and downsell 1, then if 7 out of these 35 people buy your second upsell, that's good. Generally speaking, you should be aiming to get about double the average order value of the price of your main course. So for example, if your main course is $27, then if your AOV, so average order value, is over $54, that's good. If your main course is $47 and your AOV is over $94, that's great. Those are just benchmarks that I've set for myself in the past and that I recommend that you follow as well. They will be heavily influenced by the type of market that you're in. So for example, if you're in the money market, then this may be totally different for you. The AOV multiple that you're going to get is going to be significantly higher, but I thought it would be a good idea to include it so that you know what to aim for. And one final thing in this video is remember to always follow the same pricing format as in your main course in all of your prices. So in your order bumps and upsells and downsells. So for example, if your main course is 27, it ends in a 7, then all of your prices should end in 7. So, 17, 27, 47, 67, 97, 197. It's important to have that consistency in pricing, because it just kind of looks weird when you have a 7 in your main price and a 9 in your upsell price. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.